Hi guys, I'm back with another DVD ramble. First up, I have the movie Inception, which is another great Leonardo DiCaprio movie. It's directed by Christopher Nolan, and I am shocked that Leonardo DiCaprio did not win an Oscar for this movie. He's absolutely amazing in it. The score, which I believe was Hans Zimmer, was pretty groundbreaking. It was what I believe was a style that was copied a lot in other films. Very tonal and repetitive and not very melodic, I would say, which was pretty cool. There's an amazing fight scene with Joseph Gordon-Levitt where they're in a rotating room, so it looks like gravity, the direction of gravity is always changing. It's really incredible. Next up is the Imitation Game. I had to look up the name of the scientist he was portraying. Benedict Cumberbatch is portraying Alan Turing, who creates one of the first computers, I believe, you could say that. Takes place in World War II in a set of operations that a lot of people did not know about until pretty recently, in which British scientists and mathematicians were working to crack the code of the German code machine Enigma. And spoiler alert, that, when they actually do crack the code, it completely changed the war and sped up the Allies winning World War II by several years. Keira Knightley is excellent in this movie, as she always is. Very heart-wrenching and surprising and very interesting. That is a true story, so check that one out. Keeping on the World War II, down she goes, World War II theme, is a Quentin Tarantino movie, Inglorious Bastards. I absolutely love this movie. It is weird and funny and probably the grossest movie I would say I actually enjoy. I do not like gore at all, but when it happens in the movie, it's oddly satisfying, as strange as that is to say. It almost comes off as self-aware sometimes, like it knows it's portraying a part of history that didn't happen and only happened in the hopes and imaginations of a lot of people, to see the satisfaction of possibly tracking down Hitler and his top cronies. Absolutely amazing. Michael Fassbender has a quick role in it that I think he's really great at. The gal that plays Shoshana does an absolutely wonderful job. I think his name's Daniel Bruhl. He plays a German soldier. He's also in a Ron Howard movie about race cars, which I can't think of the name of that in the moment. But he's amazing. Oh my gosh, I can't think of names today. This guy right here, his name will come to me much later, of course, who plays the main villain. This was kind of his breakout role. He is absolutely terrifying in every sense of the word, in a way that lingers with you afterward. He's that kind of calm evil that seriously freaks you out. There are so many quotable scenes in that movie. This is kind of a weird little documentary that I found. It Might Get Loud, and it has 3 famous guitar players, The Edge, Jimmy Page, and Jack White. And it just chronicles a little bit of their history, how they each came into the music business, and what they each see as their ability to change how guitars are viewed in rock and roll. At one point, Jack White actually makes a guitar out of like random junk that he finds. It's not the best documentary I've ever seen, but I'm glad I saw it. Might want to give it a try. So there are many renditions of Jane Eyre that you could enjoy, and I think any of them are lovely. I want to say the first one I watched had Ralph Fiennes as... Nope, that's Wuthering Heights, never mind. I can't remember the first one I saw, but this one is kind of slow, but in a way that I think actually matches the book. If you've read Jane Eyre, it's a long book, and it definitely has some exposition that can take a while. But I think the 2 leads do a really nice job of trying to round out the characters and make them a little more dimensional rather than just cut and dry. They're supposed to end up together, so boom, they do. Another Michael Fassbender movie. Jamie Bell, he plays kind of a creepy, weird dude in this. I remember reading the part about what she calls a brother, kind of the 3/4 of the way through the book, and to me, he came off as really pushy and strange in the book. So in the movie, I just expected to hate him right away, but he's kind of charming, kind of sickening all at the same time. So he does a really good job. It's interesting to see Dame Judi Dench play a poor housekeeper. I don't know. It's probably blasphemy to say Judi Dench is miscast, but I don't know. It's kind of pulls you out of the movie a little bit, in my opinion. We have a Natalie Portman film as portraying Jacqueline Kennedy, called Jackie. I wasn't sure what to expect from this movie. The advertisements kind of left me wondering, was it going to be like actors just trying to shoot in documentary style, or I wasn't sure. How dramatic was it? How just hyping up what we think are facts but maybe weren't, was it going to be? But it focused a lot on kind of the political machine pushing her out of the White House as fast as it could after JFK's assassination, and her pushback to take the time she should have been allowed to have, rightfully so, to gently pack the kids and the things up and not have to rush right out, even though Lyndon Johnson was there serving as the president. It also talks a lot about and shows a lot of the care she took into researching all the different facets of her role as First Lady, and especially for the funeral, and looking into what Abraham Lincoln's funeral was like. And again, all of these suits telling her what to do and how to do it, and her having to really stand strong and stick up for what she believed was right, and what ultimately I think was handled very well. So it's funny when you stand up for yourself like that, how when it goes well, nobody ever gives you credit that it was all your idea. It's only if it had failed. But she did. I think this is an interesting look into facts you may not know about a very infamous incident in history. Pulled out Juno. I remember the first time I saw this movie, my sister and I were driving across our state to go to a convention for a group in college, and we ate at the most horrendous, terrible Burger King anyone has ever eaten at because we were starving and it was the first place we could find. And we didn't really have smartphones then to figure out anything different. And then we went to a Big B and opened up our laptops to check our email, and we got on Google Maps and realized that one street over was this really big, like the main street through a city, and it had all these different restaurants. And so, we'd already eaten, so there was no point in going out to dinner again, but we decided to go see Juno. And this is the weirdest, funkiest little movie. I think it's really funny that Rainn Wilson, who plays Dwight on The Office, is in this for a little bit, because it's kind of that vibe of The Office. If you like things that are highly quotable and, again, kind of semi-self-aware and farcical almost, like truthful and honest to the point of almost being farce, I really think you'll like this. I had watched Jennifer Garner on Alias religiously, and so to see her switch into this role as kind of weird, yuppie mom was very strange. And shamefully, this was my first encounter with Jason Bateman. So it was kind of a weird character to figure him out through. But yeah, it's sweet and funky and kind of spoke to me on how I felt as a high schooler sometimes. So I really like that one. Couple more here. Pulled out both Kill Bills. So my family members are big soundtrack buffs, and so even after watching this movie, and several years later, you'll hear an Ennio Morricone song just coming out from a room in the house, and you feel like you're immediately in the middle of a Western or a strange Kill Bill shot. But another Quentin Tarantino set of films here. He's a weird dude. He's like a weird, mad hatter genius. He's a funky man. He just is brilliant, though. The visuals, the color schemes that he pulls together, I think are really interesting. I think he can take some really famous people and give them roles that you would traditionally give more of a character actor. And so he really gives them something meaty to work with. Seeing Daryl Hannah as one of the characters and how absolutely insane she gets to be is really, really cool. And Michael Madsen, I think, does a great job as like kind of cocky, jerk, lazy bad guy. It's really cool. I actually saw a little YouTube video the other day that said in the second one, when Uma Thurman is driving to go kill Bill, that Quentin Tarantino convinced her to drive in a car that had something done to it so it would go faster and skid more. and it really wasn't safe, and that she crashed it and got hurt, and that the studio was trying to hide that footage. And it's so strange because you watch these movies and it says that the characters were created by Q and U, Quentin and Uma, so you just get the sense that they were friendly, maybe very friendly, and then to have that happen would just, I don't know, maybe that tore them apart. It's very, very strange. I do not envy having to make decisions like that at my daily workplace. So this is not a movie, but I had to include it because I think it's absolutely spectacular. I'm a huge fan of the band The Killers. Every single time I tell someone that, they'll look at me like I am insane because they think it must be like, I don't know, death metal or something, but it's not. Wonderful, wonderful band from Las Vegas. I want to say the first time I heard them was around like 2004, I think. Yeah, just a really cool concert they did at the Royal Albert Hall, I believe in London. Not going to stay open very well, but it's got some cool stuff here. Got all the tracks on the back. Sometimes I just put this on in the background if I'm cleaning or working on a project where I need to get pumped up a little bit. And the last one for today is the King's Speech, in which Colin Firth plays, I want to say King George. Oh, goodness gracious. The 6th, who is the current Queen Elizabeth II's dad, which is very interesting. So that would be the Queen Mother, played by Helena Bonham Carter, and that he had a very pronounced stammer and had exhausted his resources to fix it until one way or another Geoffrey Rush's character comes into his world and wants to not necessarily cure him physically, but delve into the emotional and physiological components of his childhood that caused the stammer. And there's a lot of pushback on that because, of course, a king is not used to being told what to do. If you watched the Netflix series The Crown, you would see another version of King George in that film. Both of them deal a little bit with, this one more so, with his ascension to the throne after his brother David abdicates. And may I just say thank goodness he did, because there's a lot of other interesting research, both in The Crown and I want to say maybe a documentary called House of Windsor that look into some of the very interesting friends that David made, and definitely would have impacted the outcome of World War II in a very scary and negative way. So, I hope you enjoyed those, and I'll be back soon with more. Bye-bye.